Hello, my name is Shannon and I actually grew up in Peterborough. And when I was 17 years old, the Lord called me into ministry, which is where I met my wife, Melissa. For the last 13 to 14 years, we've been in ministry in various different churches. And while we were up in Muskoka 7 years ago, the Lord put this specific desire in our heart to plant a church in Peterborough. So we spent the last 7 years praying, training, and I'm excited to share with you that as of a few weeks ago, my wife and our 4 daughters have now officially moved to Peterborough to plant Equip Church. So if you were to drive around Peterborough, it looks like there's a lot of churches, a lot of ministry that's happening here. But if you've lived here for a while, you know that Peterborough is actually a pretty dark and hurting place. What often happens when a new church planting family moves into a city is they're met by people that say, hey, we already have enough churches here. Why don't you just jump in on what's already happening? What's happened here instead is that ministry leaders have come and said, hey, let's join arms. We're glad you're here. We actually had one person say that we have been praying for the Lord to send more workers into the harvest, and your family is an answer to that prayer. So what we have in Peterborough is a population of about 121,000 people that live within about 10 minutes from a church in Peterborough. And so that means 121,000 people can probably sleep in on a Sunday morning, roll out of bed, and still make it to church on time. But in reality, about 97% of the people here aren't carrying a Bible anywhere this Sunday morning. So the name Equip Church is actually inspired out of my own experience within the church of men and women who came alongside of myself and my wife and showed us what it looked like to have a relationship with the Lord and how to be more effective in the way that we served Him and served His church. But it's also taken from Ephesians chapter 4, verses 11 to 16. In this passage, we see that Jesus is the head of His church and He loves His church, and so He gives the people and the giftings that it needs. And it says, really, it's the pastors and leaders of the church are to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for the building up of the body of Christ. The passage goes on to explain how while this is happening in the church, we're going to grow in unity and maturity. We're going to be speaking the truth in love with one another as we all become more like Jesus Christ. And then in verse 16, that passage ends saying that when this is happening, the church itself will build itself up in love. I love that. Church shouldn't be about who can we hire that's going to entertain us or train us, but instead, how does the church become the church? How do we come and learn how to disciple one another? How do I disciple my wife? How do I disciple my kids? What do I even do with this book? That's what Equip Church is all about. So our family knows that the Lord has moved us here to Peterborough to plant Equip Church. And we want to invite you to be a part of this as well. Why don't you pray about how the Lord would have you partner with Equip Church through giving, through praying, or being a part of the core group itself. I look forward to connecting with you, inviting you to our upcoming events. The mission of Equip Church is to glorify God with ordinary lives.